And a very good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today for what I know will be a really fantastic webinar. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, I welcome all of you and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us today. Our host today is Scenic Cruises, and our speaker is Randy Goodrich. Randy is a trainer for both Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways, and is the business development manager for agents in several states. As always, we really appreciate the support we get from Scenic and Emerald. Randy's topic today is what is new for the most all-inclusive river cruise company. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of Randy's presentation, we'll get to as many questions as we can. So with that, I'll turn the microphone over to Randy so he can get started. Welcome back, Randy, and tell us what is new for the most all-inclusive river cruise company.
Well, thank you, Sandy, and thank everybody for participating and taking time out of their day. I know it's a very busy time of year. A lot of people are wanting to take cruises and other trips. So I won't take up too much of your time telling you what's new. I'll do a recap of Scenic for those of you who haven't seen our product before and explain a little bit to you about that. And then we'll talk about some of the new things and a very exciting announcement that we just made about a week ago on a new ship that will be nothing else like it. So I'll leave you with that anticipation. So this picture I've been showing here is just one of the wow moments that your clients can enjoy on some of the European rivers. This happens to be in Avignon. That's Palais de Pop, the old Pope's Palace in the 1300s when it was the Vatican. So it's just another example of why these river cruises are so popular. Because these boats will get you up close and personal with very, very little effort. They do all the work, and you sit back and enjoy. So we just released our 2017 pre-release. Came out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. That's the black brochure on the right. So if you're on our mailing list, you should have those. If not, you go on our website and start to order some. The brochure on the left is our fabulous, large, heavy brochure for 2016 with our new branding. We're actually out of those. We have a new limited version for 16. Our space in 16 is dwindling down, but there's still some out there, and we'll talk more about that. So Scenic itself is our 5-star luxury, all-inclusive brand. It was the company itself was started 30 years ago. This is our 30th anniversary by a gentleman named Glenn Maroney, who Joni has met when she was one of our godmothers on one of our ships. But he was in Australia, just got out of college, looking for something to do, and his dad put him to work trying to fill up a hotel they had in the Outback. So that led to his doing more and more tours locally in Australia, New Zealand, and then sending those people all over the world on tours, and eventually becoming one of the largest luxury tour operators in the world. In 2008, he got into the river cruise business. He's a very innovative fellow. One of the innovative things he did that helped a lot was he hired his wife, a professional commercial designer by trade, and asked her that he'd think about what they could do, and she'd need to design the ships. So they were something, and they are something special. We'll go through that today. So we'll have 17 ships on the Scenic side this year, offering the most all-inclusive luxury service to your most discriminated clients. We'll go through who those are and what those are. So we talk about all-inclusive. One of our new logo is Scenic with the degree mark, signifying that we want to go to the nth degree. We'll do everything we possibly can, include everything we possibly can, but not just include it, but include the best of it. So whatever that might be. If it's wine, we have the best of wine and 6 reds, 6 whites, and a big choice to choose from. It's not just a red or a white. If it's dining, not just one place to eat, we have 6 places to eat. All tips and gratuities, both on shore and ship, And you need to really understand all this because people say they're all-inclusive, but sometimes tips are only included on the ship, and they expect you to tip on shore. We include all transfers, whether you buy air from us or not. So we just want your customer to arrive in Europe. And if they arrive on the day that we depart, we'll pick them up at the airport. We just need to know the flight number, and we'll get them and get them onto the ship, and the same at the other end. And then we have butler service, so that makes things on board even nicer is that you have a butler concierge type fellow or gal who will be at your beck and call if you want a latte first thing in the morning, if you want to have dinner in your room at night, you want to have a drink before going to dinner and have them bring it down to you. You have some special needs when you go ashore, things like that. The butler's there to be the person on call. And every cabin, for example, has a balcony. Every cabin on the second and third deck. This is a full balcony where at least two people can sit out there and enjoy themselves. And we have the unique sun lounge, and I'll show you that in a minute. There's also a mini bar inside. We added laundry concierge this year. We have entertainment every night during the port talks and all that. We bring on local entertainment. We also bring on local arts and crafts type people that have, depending on the area. So in Holland, we bring in the guys that make the shoes, the wooden shoes, and everybody can paint them up and take them home. So on the ship itself, it's just first class. So your customers like that kind of style, then this is the ship for them. But the most important part of a river cruise, like a tour or almost any other trip, is going to be what you do in each destination. On the river cruise, of course, every day you're in a different destination, the client is, and it's what's included and what they can do to really absorb that history and culture that's so important. And with Scenic, really nobody does it better. And that is because we have choices. Everything is paid for. Everything I'm going to talk about here is included in the price of the cruise. So every day we have multiple shore excursions that they can choose from. We have exclusive Scenic Enrich private events. A sundowner is a similar type of event in the afternoon. We have a proprietary GPS tailor-made, so they go about and about on their own without the fear of getting lost. And finally, we have e-bikes so that more people can enjoy the bike experience. This is a website you might want to mark down and note. It's rivercruiseadvisor.com. It's a gentleman who is, I guess, fallen in love with river cruising in particular, but also ocean cruising. And so he's now got this website where he's analyzing and providing charts and things like that. So you can see here that with the red line, Scenic is by far the most all-inclusive. That's him. He did that, not us. So comparable to us, the closest would be Tauk, and then would be Uniworld. You can see, Viking, the most popular river cruise company, down at the bottom. They do the most advertising, of course. They create wonderful demand for everybody, but they really don't include much, so you need to know that when you're doing comparison pricing for your customer. Maybe not everybody wants all that stuff that Scenic includes, so then you're looking for value, and that's why we came out with the Emerald product, which is right above us there in the chart. And you can see that they include more than a lot of the other 4-star deluxe brands. So it's important to be able to compare all of them together, and this is a great chart for you to use with your client. There's a little video, and it should work. It's just music, but this kind of gives you a recap of the all-inclusiveness. I hope you hear that, at least be able to see it. Can you still hear me? Okay. I hit a button there, and I'm hoping that didn't mute me. Sandy, am I still on?
Yep, we hear you. All's well.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure. I hit this button on my device, and it beeped, and I go, uh-oh.
No, you're still
Okay.
here. You're still here.
Okay, and the video worked fine?
A little choppy, but we were able to see it.
Yeah. GoToMeeting just needs to get up to speed on that part.
Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, so the ships themselves, we refer to them as spaceships, which when I first started working with Scenic was, you're afraid they're going to take off in the air or something, but actually it has something to do with the spaciousness. So as most of you know, in Europe, all the river cruise ships, these long, skinny creatures, there's a commission that actually dictates how long, the maximum length, maximum width, maximum height. So that's 443 feet long, 40 feet wide, and 3 stories high. Of our 14 ships that we'll have in Europe this year, 11 of those are the max. So those are the size of the Viking long ships, and the other ships, a lot of them. We have 169 maximum passengers. We have an odd number because there is one single cabin, balcony cabin. But others, such as Viking, would have a couple hundred passengers. Some Emerald, just by comparison, would have 182, and everything in between, depending on the ship. That gives us more room to, one, have larger cabins. Our cabins are wider than the others because of the deck. We couldn't obviously go out further to build the deck, so we came in and made the rooms wider. So they average over 200 square feet. But our public areas are large, and that gives us the ability to have multiple dining choices, 6 dining areas. And we also dedicate more of our cabins down on the bottom of the ship to our staff, so we have a better staff ratio than most. This is a picture of the balcony itself that I took. So you can see there's plenty of room for a couple of people to sit. You can also see the tracking device, the double pane. So with the push of a button, if it's getting cold, wet, windy, even too hot, whatever, you can push that button. It will close the balconies. You basically have a sunroom called the sun lounge. Makes it very nice, so you can enjoy that balcony, that ambiance of looking out at the scenery and whatnot much longer. The cabin categories, there's not that many of them, so we have the D&Es, which are down on the first deck, down at the water level, so obviously no balcony, but it does have a large window across the top there, you can see. They're 160 square feet. You compare that industry average, there's some that are down to 130 square feet or less. So they're a little bit bigger than the average out there, and they have all the amenities that the other deluxe suites do with the L'Occitane lotions and whatnot in the bathroom, as well as the nice linens, etc. On the upper right, that's the typical cabin on board on the second and third deck. These are our balcony suites. You can see the coloring throughout. It's very neutral tones, so that the focus is really not on anything outrageous inside the ship, but really on what's going on outside. So the standard cabin is 205 square feet. There's a deluxe category that's 225, and the 250 is our junior suite. But they all kind of look like this. They're just wider. So the junior suite, actually, there'd be twice as much room between the bed and the chair there. And that's a good suite to consider if you have somebody that, wheelchair, walker, scooter, or something like that. We will take them on board, and the suites typically are right next to the elevator, so it makes it a little bit more convenient for them. The bathrooms on the lower left, those are the bathrooms for the junior suites, royal suites, and royal suites that include a bathtub. Some don't include a bathtub, most do. All the other bathrooms have a full shower. There's 3 shower heads, one in the top, one up, and one in the middle. So you can shower to your heart's content. Then on the right side, that's our royal suite. There's typically 4 of those midship. On our ships prior to the 2 we built last year, they're 315 square feet, plenty large. 1 bedroom, beautiful suites. And then the new ships last year, they increased them a little bit to 360. And then the great big suites, there's 2 of these on the back of the ship. So they are fabulous. These are the new ones. Again, our last 3 builds have this 1 bedroom suite. Prior to that, we had just a one-room suite. It was not a separate bedroom, and that was 350 square feet. These are 475 square feet. There's a full deck on the side there you can see, but in the back, looking at the aft of the ship, is a full panorama window. So you have about 180-degree view, the extra amenities, but these need to be booked a year ahead of time at least. They go quite fast. So we're booking through 17 now. Dining, 6 dining choices. So most of the other cruise lines have 1 or 2. Being an Australian company, Aussies like a variety and choices, so that's why we do all these things, and has been our primary market, although the U.S. and Canada are catching up quickly. So the Crystal Dining Room is 1 seating, somewhere between 7, 8, 8:30, whatever. There's always ample seating in there because we have multiple choices that people have, and so typically the breakfast is a huge buffet breakfast at everything you think of, omelet stations, etc. Things that are good for you, things that perhaps aren't so great for you, but you eat anyway. And it's got a menu too, so for specialty items like eggs Benedict or waffles, you can make those. They'll make those and bring them to your table. Lunch, pretty much the same idea. Tons of food in the buffet with some items on the menu like cheeseburgers. And then we have dinner is full a la carte. There's typically the food will center around wherever we are, but also have some kind of more normal type foods, except for steaks. There's almost always a steak on the menu. And then we have portobellos. So portobellos is the picture you see the 2 couples there. It's in the back of the lounge. So if you look at the picture in the lower right, that's the main bar. So our main bar is really large, and because all the drinks are included, so it tends to be a fairly popular place to hang out. But during the day, the right side of that bar is our River Cafe. Is all day deli. It starts at 6:30 in the morning. It's meant to be light food, kind of quick food. Come and go. Come get a sandwich. Come back later and get a salad, whatever, soup. So that's open all day. Past that, which is the bow of the ship, which a lot of people, when they grab a sandwich, will go over there and sit or read or check email or just blaze out at the scenery as you go by. But at night, that's closed off, and that's where portobellos, or on our French sailings, L'Amour, that's where that's located. It seats about 34 people per night, and you just let your butler know which night you prefer to sit there. It's spectacular. It's a little higher up, so the view's a little better. It's very light and open. It's very, very nice. Then we have Table de Rive. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. That's the only place that's restricted. There's only certain people on board because it's a very small area. River Cafe I showed you. Alfresco dining is up on top, and room service is available. Really for all cabins, although the smaller cabins is pretty very limited area where you can sit down and eat. But the bigger cabins, sit in your deck and have breakfast or dinner. So here's just some samplings of the food. These guys are serving in different areas, but out of a very small kitchen. So they're very small people in order to do that. But it's just amazing how much food they produce and how good it is. So here's Table de Rive. This is typically a table set up in the back of the dining room by where the chefs are. And it's like a captain's table on an ocean cruise, but we don't invite the captain in this case. It's just meant for our clients who are on the diamond deck, which is our top deck, or perhaps in a junior suite on the second deck. And again, you tell the butler which night you prefer to partake in this 6-course dining feast with wine pairings for every course. So the head butlers, head waiters come out and serve white glove style. It's fantastic. A couple of these people are a little dressed up. You don't have to dress up. We actually do not have a dress policy. We discourage sloppy jeans and sloppy shorts at dinner, but being Australian, again, they pretty much do whatever they want. And so you very seldom ever see anybody with a tie. If they have a tie, it's probably an Englishman. I would, on these nicer dinners here in Portobello's, throw a sport coat over an open shirt for a guy, and the gals like to get dressed up a little bit, but not necessary. So it's not like a luxury cruise. We have to have black tie and all that stuff. but just a wonderful dinner. I've had some of these where it lasted 2.5 hours. So, and the other thing to note is you know, cruising with Scenic. It's a global company. It's a very multinational experience, but it's a multinational experience in English. So we have Australians, New Zealanders, the UK, and North America primarily. Smattering of others. They've got to speak English. So it's an experience for your customers. When we were in the Netherlands, Belgium trip last May, there's a couple from Australia there, about their 16th trip on Scenic. There was a couple from New Zealand, there was a couple from England, a couple from Scotland, and a couple from Canada and ourselves. And it was a tremendous experience, lots of chatter about politics and everything else. We're all democracy, so we come from kind of the same point of view, but we're able to talk about it in perspective to whatever area of the world we live in, but in English. I mean, some of the English is a little different, some of the other English, but you all kind of get it. So had some great friendships come out of that. Wine, I mentioned the wine, that we have a selection of wine. It's not just a red or a white. There's 6 reds, 6 whites, rosé, and a port. And if one of those isn't right for you, they'll go find something that is right. So we have a large wine library. Alfresco dining on the deck. Talking to your customer, you can just imagine how nice this is for them. When they're going to the Rank Gorge, where there's like 40 capsules in a 4 or 5 hour cruise, and they're having this beautiful buffet and drinking whatever they want. And then the friendly butler service. So let's talk about what happens on shore, because this is where the most important part of the cruise is for people, is how they experience each location. So here's one particular small stop in the southern part of the Rhone River, where there's 4 different choices. These are all included, so they don't have to worry about what it costs. They just focus on doing what it is they do. So it's about choice, not options. Scenic Enrich are private events, once in a lifetime type of experiences. So the picture on top of the violins, that's our concert, private, only our people concert at the Palais Liechtenstein in Vienna. The competition typically includes either includes or charges extra for a concert, but it's in a concert hall with several groups of people, a little more crowded, not nearly as intimate. And the Palais Liechtenstein is probably the nicest chateau palace in all of Vienna. It's spectacular. Down below, that's Play to Pop again on the Rhone. And Scenic is the only private company that has access to have an event in there at night. So we have a dinner and a concert in there as well. Just came back from the Bordeaux area. We're still friends, and our Scenic Enrich was at a chateau winery. Sounds nice. It was even nicer than it sounds. Rothschild Winery, and their little, I wouldn't call it a chateau even, their castle was just down the street. Some of the best wines in the world. And so we had a private wine tasting as well as dinner in this beautiful room, and a violin concert going on in the background. So spectacular opportunities for your clients to have these type of experiences. And then what to do when the tours are over and you want to see more of the local village, town, city that we're in, but are a little bit afraid of getting lost. Well, you can actually go and take a GPS unit. There's 2 of these in these cabins. Everybody has one that's theirs for the entire stay. They simply, it's multifunctional, so if they're going on a guided tour, it's how they're going to listen to the guide. There's an earpiece that they put in their ear, and they listen to channel 4, and that's their guide. But if they want to go off on their own, but they want to have kind of an organized trip, focus on some kind of like the religious history of the area or whatever, these are all preloaded tours. So they simply click a button on the device for that particular tour, and it starts to guide them around the town, and then explain to them the history of the things they're looking at, and then they're able to come back and find the ship, which is fairly important. They can also use them just to wander about, or either walking or on our e-bikes. Again, people want to do that. A lot of people don't because they're just afraid they're going to get lost. But it walks along. It shows them the maps right there. You can see where you are on the map, and there's the red button, and that's where the boat is. So that's self-sharing. Also, it will ping if they're coming around something that they may want to take note of. A museum, a church, a statue, whatever it might be, so they don't miss things. Finding out later they walk right by something and didn't realize it. So it's a really wonderful device. And finally, it's used by many people on board because it's constantly got a running narrative of where we are on the river. So if something's coming up, you wonder what it is, just open it up. Click, and it'll say coming up on the right is the Church of Notre Dame, whatever it happens to be. So very cool device, proprietary, built just for Scenic. I mentioned the bikes. We had bikes originally on board. They were the regular pedal bikes. We found that there were a lot of people that just weren't in biking condition. And so we're worried about going out on a bike and getting too tired or getting stuck on a hill or whatever it might be. So Mr. Maroney invested a heck of a lot of money to put about 34 of these electric bikes on board all of our ships, except just a couple, the one in the Douro and the one in Russia. They're not allowed there. But all the other ships in Europe have these. And you can see under the lady in the front there, the little box kind of under her seat. That's the electricity box. Instead of having gears, it's got 6 different levels of electricity. If you're getting tired, you can, or want to bounce ahead of everybody, you just push the electricity, gives you a boost. So like booster bikes. And these people here are actually in Dürnstein in the Waha Valley of Danube, taking off on a 22-mile bike ride up to the Melk Abbey, a once-in-a-lifetime type of experience. So they'll make it because they've got electricity, so not worry. We added concierge laundry this year. So when you get our documents, you actually get real documents. You get the pouch that comes in with all the written documentation, but there's also a backpack, a day pack that each person gets. And inside the day pack's a laundry bag, and they just fill up the laundry bag, and there'll be a designated city each week, typically the largest city we go to. So you get the laundry bag to your butler, and the butler takes care of that. So it's quite nice. Destination, of course, Europe. New this year, Southeast Asia, Mekong and Irrawaddy, and we'll talk about the 2018, the new ship, Arctic class ship. So the rivers, I'm assuming you all know about the rivers of Europe. They used to be the highways and the commercial avenues for centuries in Europe, and so that's where a lot of the history and culture developed over the centuries, and the river ships enable your customer to get up close and personal to those places. New this year for us is the Douro down here in Portugal. We opened up Bordeaux last year, the Seine the year before that. So we'll go through some of those real quickly. Most popular cruises, of course, the 2-week cruise from Budapest to Amsterdam, 5 countries, 3 rivers connected by the canals, the Main Canal and the Danube Canal. Pretty outrageous, 68 locks, because you're basically going upriver, up the Main, up the transcontinental divide of Europe, and then once you get to the Danube, you're coming back down. It's pretty interesting. So go through most of those locks at night. You've got the Rhine and Moselle. Ours a little longer because we actually have Belgium in there. So Bruges, Delta Works. The Rhine River cruise in Amsterdam, Basel is quite popular. The sites in Belgium Delights, that's only for about 3 weeks, the end of April, May, when the Keukenhof Gardens are full bloom. And then the most popular cruise, I think, for all the cruise lines is the Danube. That's where you find the most of the ships. It's very popular just because of the taste of Eastern Europe. And of course, you have Vienna in there as well. And we have a special, our shore excursion in Passau, by the way, on the Danube. When we stop there, you have a choice to Chesney Kremlov, the Czech Republic, or going up to Salzburg. And we have a very unique experience for people in Salzburg, having to do with the Sound of Music, a private little play that they put on, which is quite nice. That's something new this year. Black Sea is the lower Danube, and then an unusual Vienna to Danube longer trip. In France, we've got the 3 river areas. The Seine, I'll show you more of that in a minute. On the Rhone, south of Paris, we have a week and a 2-week trip. So for people who really want to soak up that history, a lot of Roman history, French history, of course, and a lot of great French wines of different types along that route. And then, of course, Bordeaux is really all about wine. It's not much of a cruise. The rivers are quite short. You can't navigate too far up either one. There's two rivers there. But it's an amazing wine region, one of the best in the world. And so it's pretty cool. On the Seine, we have an unusual itinerary. We built a special boat, which actually the boats that he's building now, Mr. Moroni and his wife are designing, are specially built for each river because they're all kind of unique. And the thing with the Seine is that to get all the way down to Honfleur, you need a smaller boat. So the harbor in Honfleur is quite small. The bridges are quite low coming in there. But it's a lot closer to the Normandy beaches, which is the primary reason a lot of people take this trip. Ours is 11 days as opposed to 7 for most others. It's a leisurely trip. It's absolutely lovely. You stop at Giverny, which is Monet's home. I was there back in October. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then spend a couple of days in Rome, where you can do multiple cooking classes, etc. And then go all the way to Honfleur. So you're that much closer. It drops about 2 to 3 hours on a bus ride going into Normandy, giving you more time, your customers more time to spend in Normandy in that area, which is absolutely amazing place to visit. So it's a great trip. Very popular, sells very quickly. Bordeaux here, but these rivers are, again, quite small. And so there's not a lot of river time. It's more visiting the wineries, which for some of us is a delightful thing to have to do. There's a picture of one of the chateaus. That was a working winery that we went through. Their warehouses there. They were actually in there grinding up the grapes, doing all the things. So for 2016, we're adding one more of our big ships on the Rhine-Main-Danube. That will come out. That's the Amber. Be out and sailing in April. In Portugal, we're adding the Azure on the Douro River, and I'll show you that in a second. So we have one ship, a small ship in Russia. This year, we're only sailing in June, July. But in 17, we're scheduled at this point to go June through September, and we'll just see. It all depends on the political situation there. But that's a fabulous trip. Small ship, 112 passengers. Portugal, that ship is 96 passengers, and one I showed you on the Seine was 128. So you see we're kind of varying the different ships according to what the river takes and you know, the best way to show it to your customer. The Douro is a pretty remote area. All the other cruise lines out there do not own their ship. We are, in fact, building our own ship. People can test me on that. But I assure them that Mr. Moroni is not going to use somebody else's ship. He's going to build his own. And he's even building his own docks, a couple new docks, because he feels that there's some things that the others don't include. The other company will rent a boat from some guy in Porto, and he owns the docks and the boats and everything else, so they're kind of at his mercy. We're building our own. We're going up. We're making a stop, building a dock in this Pochino, and going up to the Coa Valley, because there's some ancient artifacts, some of the oldest areas in all of Europe, archaeology-wise. And then we go into Salamanca, Spain, spend a full day with tapas, lunch, and all that good stuff. Also go up to some of these other areas that are very famous. So it's a 10-night cruise instead of a typical 7-night cruise. And there's add-ons to Lisbon and to Madrid, if you want. So we're entering Southeast Asia. Our first cruise on the Mekong started first of last week. So we're into the first one. And as you well know, the ships that have been there on the Mekong for the last few years have been kind of the typical Asian-looking boxy, which are wonderful, wonderful ships. Nothing against them, but Mr. Moroni felt it was time to push the envelope a little bit and have a mega yacht go up the Mekong, down the Mekong. So this is a 34 one-bedroom suite ship, 68 people total. The smallest suite's 344 square feet, and the largest one is 660 square feet. They're in the front. In Europe, they're in the back, but here we have them in the front because they have a 200 square foot deck out here, balcony, and that is, then you get some breeze while you're sitting out there in your day bed, or there's a jacuzzi you can sit in. So it brings things a little bit nicer than that heat humidity. Beautiful ship, everything included. Has a pool on board, has a sauna, spa, the whole 9 yards. And it would say on both directions, we stay in port each night. That's the same case with the Douro too. There's no night sailing there. And April to June, there's low water, so we don't have any scheduled departures. So the cruise itself is only 7 days. You typically would spend a couple nights in Ho Chi Minh City and maybe 3 nights in Siem Reap, because that's where all the temples are, Angkor Wat and all those. Quite nice. But the river cruise itself is only 7 days. We have pre and post North Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, and people can even do this trip and then do the Irrawaddy if they want. Now this ship is the same look and feel as the one on Mekong. It's a little smaller, 22 captains, only 44 people. But it's another outstanding trip. You can combine the two if you want. And this is the new ship for 2018. And we're announcing it now because you just finally signed the papers. And it's self-financing this, so this is a big deal for the company. 228 passengers, 6 stars. And 6 stars, that little thing there that's flying around. We have 2 helicopters and a submersible. So that would be your 6-star service. Something above and beyond, different. 6 dining choices, full spa, etc. There's a beautiful video that's on our website, scenicusa.com. We have a screen that flashes different images across. You'll see the Scenic Eclipse. If you click on more information, that would take you down to where the video is. It's about 6 minutes, but it's if you have clients that want to be the first in the block to do something that's spectacular, this is the product they want to start thinking about. Book the availability and pricing and all that will be ready here in a couple weeks, and we'll start taking early bookings for that product. It's going to be spectacular. I'll show you a couple images. It's not just a run-of-the-mill icebreaker. This is a discovery ship. It's meant to take people in absolute luxury to some really fabulous places in the world and allow them to discover even more along the way. So the destinations is going to start in August of 2018. Scheduled to start in Istanbul. It's being built in Italy, and go through the Med and come over to Miami, and then do some cruises out to Cuba, and then coming through the canal and down the west side of South America with different itineraries, and then end up spending a couple months in Antarctica, going back up to the east side of South America, and then across to the Canary Islands, back into the Med, spend some time in the Med, and then work their way up the western shore of Europe, past the British Isles, into the Norwegian fjords, all the way up into the Arctic up here, back down to Iceland, over to Canada, down the coast, and do it again. So there are different segments. So you can see over here on the right that most of them are in the area of 14, 9, 12, 13, it's 20 day here. So different, the Antarctica ones tend to be a little bit different, longer. But people can buy one segment or several segments, and I'm sure there'll be some that stay on perhaps for the whole route, although there's some repetitive things, so they probably come in and then go back home for a while, come and catch the ship again. You always have some of those. The suites on here are large. The largest one is the owner suite. When you combine it with the spa suite next door, a 2-bedroom, 2,500 square feet. So huge. It's got advanced safety. It's got its own water treatment plant. It's got 2 engine rooms on board for safety. It's got 2 cooking facilities on board for safety. It's got the stabilizers because there can be some rough water, so we have extra large stabilizers to try to help with that. So it's just going to be quite the ship. Let's talk about booking. We have still some space in 2016. It's not the Primo space. That's been gone for probably a year. Primo being May, June, and September, October. They sell first. The big cabins sell first. So what will be left would be a selection of different balcony suites and standard suites. If you find something, a royal suite or anything, junior suite, anything better, grab it, because it's just, there aren't very many out there. but we'll certainly work with you to try to find something for your customer if they want to go this year. There's some great incentives having to do with free air, or there's also air credits. The best one, of course, is the 2-for-1 business class. Business class being very expensive, but if they'll buy one, the second one's free. So that's a big significant savings. For deposits, we take $500 non-refundable deposit per person, and 90 days prior is when the final payment's due. So we do not require people to pay up front. 2017 is now on sale. We have a pre-release brochure out, so the pricing in the pre-release is the same as the 2016 pricing. We'll be analyzing and coming out with the 2017 pricing in the May time frame with a new brochure that will have that pricing in it. Could go up, could go down. Last year it went down a little bit because of the valuation of the dollar versus the euro, but we never know until it comes out. So now is the best time to get your client into a guaranteed price, and there's still early booking discounts that they can participate in. Most importantly, not only will they get the best price, but they get a better selection of cabins. So right now, our Royal Panorama suites are selling quite quickly, and so are the Royal suites. They go very quick. And so if you have customers in that category, I really encourage you to talk to them about considering to book early. Again, $500 non-refundable deposit, but they won't hold the rest until 90 days prior to departure, which could be a year and a half from now. So, and then 2018 Eclipse should be ready here in the next few weeks. Postcard that just went out to a lot of consumers, so you might hear about that. This is just out of the book, the new 2017 book showing you some of the fly free. And based on the itinerary and the cabin category, it's different offers. Facebook, we have a lot of our videos and whatnot. We have probably 60 videos, all work, and they're very viewable for you to watch yourself or show your customer for more information about Scenic Enrich, the free choice options, things like that, as well as about just about every one of our destinations. Lots of information, of course, on our website. Up and above the word Scenic here, right here, where you can't really see it, it says Agent Portal. That's where you can go in and get some additional information. As an agent, you can also access our online booking engine. You can check out our group policy, which takes 5 cabins to form a group, and the BDMs, who they are around the country, a media gallery, all kinds of stuff in that agent portal. The most important probably is to get access to our online booking engine. We call it Express Books. It's a booking engine. It's a quote engine. Most important, it gets you within seconds, really, right into our inventory, so you can talk to customers proactively about really what is available for what they want to do. Each one of our sailings has a tour code to it. So the Amsterdam to Budapest sailing is AMBU. You put AMBU there, you put the dates, and then it gives you a 3-month range. Then you put in one customer or 2 in the cabin. Then it's going to give you live availability. This is real-time availability. This is showing you which cabin types for a cruise. You have to open these as a X here. You've got to click on that to open and see exactly which cabin categories are still open. So this one only has a standard suite, but these have some balcony suites, etc. You click on any of those, and you're actually looking at the deck plan, and the cabins that have a white number on, those are the cabins still available. At that point, you can click on one of those. By the way, here's the single cabin right here, because it's got a little stairwell, and so we made it a single cabin. But you click on one of these, then you have the choice of either booking it now or creating a quote. So if you create a quote, you don't have to fill out all the information about the customer and all that, but you do get this screen here. This will show you currently what discounts are available. This is all inventory controlled, so it changes quite a bit. But currently, as of that moment, what could you select? So you can choose which one would be best for your client, free air or air credit or whatever it might be. And then at that point, it will create a quote for you that you can email to your client. This will have an sample invoice right here with the cabin that you chose. It didn't take it out of inventory. It's not holding it for you, but it is there for pricing, and then whatever discounts are taken off that, and also a link to the full itinerary. Your customer then gets that. They call you back and say, let's book. You go back into Express Books. There's your quote for John Smith. you open it up, and down at the bottom here is convert to booking. So you convert it to a booking. So it's a wonderful resource for you to shop for your customer and also quote and also book. So here's some more information, different sites. We have YouTube with lots of videos on it. Facebook has pictures and video. So quite a bit of information online. It's updated on a daily basis. So to recap, Scenic allows your customers to take an extensive tour of these wonderful areas without the normal effort one would do in an owner on a tour of some type. They just show up, unpack, and we do all the rest for them. It truly is an all-inclusive plus a lot more type of experience for them. It's an international experience. They don't need their credit card. 90% of our customers don't owe us a penny when they check out. You have multiple choices. It's really about choices for meals, for touring, activities, etc. Very competitive pricing with great early booking discounts. Only $500 per person to hold space, and it's best to book now to get the best dates. Here are our representatives around the country. So find the one. If you're in Canada, you need to go through the Canadian people. But here's are the ones in the United States. And Sandy, with that, I'll take some questions and we'll wrap it up.
Okay, thank you so much, Randy. That was fantastic, and I'm just totally overwhelmed by the eclipse. It sounds really amazing. Did you say 2 helicopters and a submersible?
I did. And a lot of zodiacs and canoes and everything else.
And such interesting itineraries. Just it's amazing. We have several questions, and we'll take as many as we can. I do urge our agents who are listening to this webinar, if we don't get to your question or if you think of something after the webinar is over, take a look at this slide that is up right now and make a note of who your BDM is, and you can get in touch with him or her with any additional questions that you have. Randy, can you touch briefly on whether the current riverboats can handle triples and quads and families, if it's appropriate for families, and handicap passengers?
Well, we have no triples. Everything's double, single or double. It's just not. It gets a little crowded even with 2 people. So we don't accommodate that. Although the Eclipse has a 2-bedroom suite, so that is different. Let's see. As far as families, it's everybody's a little different. It's a bit challenging with kids because so much of this experience is focused on history, culture, churches, museums, and there's not a large percentage of kids that want to do that every day. So you need to think that through. I know there's kids out there who would be fascinated with it, but for the majority of them, it's not the great experience. So we see an awful lot of couples just go on, they leave their kids with grandparents or whatever. But it's different, again, for everybody.
Right. Handicap accessible
and whatnot. Yeah. So on the board the ship, we're okay. We take wheelchairs, walkers, scooters. They all have to be foldable. There's certain models, so you need to let reservations know that your customer has a scooter, and they need to pre-qualify which model of scooter, so we make sure it works okay on the boat. Like I said, the junior suites are the best cabins probably to get them, or something bigger, but the junior suites are right in the front by the elevators, so it's pretty easy. They're wider, so there's more room to get around the bed, etc. It's getting on and off the boat that's hard. The gangplanks are very narrow, not the most sturdy things in the world. You certainly can't get a wheelchair, so they're going to have to walk a little bit to get across there. As many of you know, on the river cruises, we don't have docks. There's just the seawall, and you tie up to that. If you're the next boat, you tie up to that boat and that boat. There could be 3, even 4 boats tied up together. Usually no more than that if you get too far out in the river. Typically 2 or 3. But sometimes they line up perfectly where you can walk through the lobbies, but sometimes not, and you have to walk up and over and down. And so that would be very complicated, very difficult for somebody. We'd love to help them, but our crews usually very busy doing their thing. And then getting on and off the buses is a challenge. They're very steep I've got to pull myself up. Getting on and off those things is pretty steep steps, and just getting around cobblestone streets and all that. It's challenging, but you're the professionals out there. You need to work with your customer on those issues and make sure they understand it. We've had people that come on board and don't want to. It's just not good for them to get on shore unless they're tied up right to the bulkhead, and then they might go and go around a little bit, but they have a great time just taking the cruise.
Okay, great. And I just want to point out that those issues for people in wheelchairs in particular going on riverboats and being able to get on and off the various boats and buses is not particular to Scenic. That's pretty typical of all riverboat cruises. They all tie up to each other, and and many riverboats are not particularly handicap friendly unless your client can walk across a couple of boats to get off at the port. Does Scenic have a group policy, and what is that?
Yeah, the group policy is 5 cabins. So the 9th person is typically your TC. There would be a group discount. We can't add in too many credits. There's not much they can buy. The only thing you buy on board really is a haircut, massage. There is an extended upscale wine list if it's a special occasion. You don't need to do that because the wine's quite good. That they provide. And there's a small gift shop. So we don't have a lot of stuff we can do with credits, but we give a little discount on the group. And groups on river cruises are wonderful, especially smaller groups, maybe 8 to 10 couples, could be more. But it's a group environment because everything's included. There's no arguing about what you're going to do and what you're going to eat. Everybody can do their own thing, and it's a safe environment. They all end up back at the same place for dinner at night. I've been on a number of river cruises with anywhere from 3 to 8, 9 couples, and everybody has a great time. Okay,
and I may have missed it. Is there a tour conductor credit for the group leader?
Yeah, 1 for 9.
1 for 9. Okay.
9 people.
You mentioned that this the Scenic started in Australia, and we have an agent wanting to know what percentage of passengers are actually coming from North America these days.
It's growing rapidly. We're up about 400%. We met our quota for 2016 back in the fall, so they just increased the quota as well. But we've been doing this for 2 years now, these webinars, and our staff here get out and about trying to explain the special values that Scenic offers, and it's working. Initially, when we started working it a couple of years ago. It was a lot more Australians, New Zealanders, and UK people, but that's changing quickly. I would say that's changing to where it's about a third North America, third UK, and third Australia, New Zealand, with a spattering of others. But we fully expect that North America is going to be, especially on the shorter cruises, less than 10 days. That tends to be what most of our people take. On the longer cruises, you probably get more Aussies and New Zealanders because they tend to take pretty long trips, a month plus, and so they would be on the longer cruises. Okay. But they're a lot of fun to be with, and it's really a nice international experience.
Yeah. Is there smoking allowed?
No. There's the smoking area is on the top, outside, in the back, so that it doesn't bother anybody else on board. So they got to be able to go outside, top of the ship, and go way in the back and smoke with some of the crew.
Okay. We have time for 2 more really quick questions. Do the rates also include internet access? And with the wine selection, are there any champagnes that are included in that?
Yes, on internet throughout the ship. We actually didn't talk much about the entertainment system. You have the flat panel screen TV. It's got internet as well, so you don't even need your laptop. But if you have your laptop or your smartphone, you certainly have internet Wi-Fi access throughout the ship. It's not too bad. There are places, of course, where it's a little more remote. May not be great reception, but typically a little better than most others because the GPS system that we hook up the Tailormade devices amps that up a little bit. And the second question was?
Champagne.
Oh, champagne. Yeah, sure. In fact, we have champagne for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's there all the time. You name it, you can have it. The little bottles in your mini fridge if you want, or just call the butler up and say, I need a glass of champagne.
Sounds good to
We
me.
even have cognac, a pretty good cognac too, because on the Bordeaux trip, we actually visited Cognac, which is extremely interesting. The Remy Martin factory there was a very interesting place to visit, but kind of got a lot of us into Cognac all of a sudden, but they serve that pretty poor too.
That sounds great. Our last question is, what would be the best way for travel agents to experience scenic cruises themselves?
Well, by getting on board, so we have FAM trips. So we have actually 3 of them this spring, the Mekong, Doral, and on the Danube, but they're all sold out already. They go quite quickly, so you need to let us know that you're interested, and we'll get you on the list. So when we come up with a new one in the fall, we'll send you an invite, and then we just have to get over demand typically. So we look at people who are booking us already, who want to do some marketing plans with us, things like that. They obviously are going to get some priority. But we also have an independent FAM because we do want you to get on board. People that go on board, agents that go on board, come back and start booking like crazy. So we've convinced the management that is a very smart thing to do. They have a very fair price, $495 for an agent, $995 for a companion. But it's all about availability. So you can look at inventory 4 months out. So now you can be looking at inventory into May, even June. If you find a sailing that's got, it's best to go online, take a look at it. If you find a sailing that's got ample space, lots of cabin categories and whatnot, you can go ahead and book it, just like you're a customer. And then you contact your BDM with the booking number, and we will take that to inventory management and go to bat for you and try to get you approved, and then they'll alter the pricing at that point in time. So it's a great opportunity. But you're going to have better luck probably middle of summer. There's stuff that opens up for some crazy reasons. A lot of people just don't want to go anywhere in July and August, and then later in the fall, early spring, late fall. That's when most of the space is there.
Well, that sounds terrific. Randy, as always, this has been a really wonderful webinar. We all learned a lot. I want to thank our host today, Scenic Cruises, and our speaker, Randy Goodrich, trainer for both Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways and Business Development Manager. Randy, as always, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, everybody, for participating. Appreciate it very much.
And thanks to all of our agents on this call. We appreciate your being here. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.